Welcome to the Medieval Daoyin Study Group sessions. Um, we had such a lovely workshop a couple of weeks ago, and that was really exciting because that was our first time offering the actual exercises from Daoyin from the 7th century Chinese medical text that we've been studying over the past year. So I think it was really wonderful, and I think everyone involved felt really, quite a positive. They gave us quite a positive feedbacks, and I also really like to thank Jesse, Crystal, Pascal, and Phillips to facilitate the workshop with me. So that was really great, and there is a recording available on YouTube. I also created almost like a special YouTube page for us. And so everything will be recorded. So for example, our study sessions will be recorded. Then I will upload them there. And then if we do any further workshops in the future, that will also be uploaded to YouTube. So yeah, it was kind of gradually getting there. And then the next things which we're really hoping to do, especially I've been working on it with Crystal, and although quite slowly, and he's trying to create those little sort of bite-sized clips for like introducing individual exercises. So they will be like 1 minute long, just for like individual exercises. And but at the moment, we're trying to wanted to make it quite dynamic. So it's like people already can just do it. We just give them instructions and then they would just do it. That's the idea. So we're trying to create those little video clips as well. So that's the sort of I'll make sort of update of what sort of things we've been doing. And so we're going to carry on with our study group sessions, which we got as far as page 184, and we were in Juan 5, section 10, symptoms of pain in the ribs. And I think last time we were doing a lot of sort of visualizations with like, all the soldiers entering into your body, and you're trying to visualize, them entering, and then, so it's trying to get rid of the illnesses, and particularly the rib pains in the ribs area. And this is a carry on. So there's quite a few, at least two more exercises related to the pains in the ribs. Is that right? Is that where we got to? Yeah.
I agree.
Great. Okay, cool. So the next one then is the one which says, again, it says, sitting straight, lengthen your lumbus, so the lumbar area, and look to the right. So the Chinese is right turn or right look. Then the third character is a verb, is to look. So the second character and the third character is almost like it just means to look, really. And then the fourth one is the eyes. So you use the eyes to look, but the right, so you look to the right. Yeah. Okay. And then inhale qi through your mouth. So this is unusual, yeah, because normally we inhale qi through our nose. And then you swallow the qi. So you yin. So the yin has got the mouth radical. So it somehow is involving your mouth to sort of swallow this qi. And you do that 30 times. So you inhale through your mouth. And you're making this kind of almost like swallowing. I don't know whether it's as literal as that, but basically that's what the Chinese characters seems to suggest. Okay, and then it says this gets rid of pain in the left ribs and benefits the eyes. So it's quite interesting because you are looking to the right, and with your eyes that really looking. I think that there's an emphasis of like really look at whatever you're looking at. uh, on the right, then you're trying to inhale qi through your mouth and you sort of swallow it. And then you inhale through your mouth and swallow it. Inhale, swallow. So yeah, let's try to practice it because I think it looks simple, but I got a feeling that it probably not as simple as it looks. And the next thing is, depending how you want to sit, normally in 7th century China, this period, the sit straight, 端坐, would be the Japanese style sitting. So you're basically kneeling down. So you can do it like that and lengthen your lumbar region, or you just sit where you are. I think that's also all right. But anyway, we're going to spend a few minutes trying to see how the effect of that. So can you hear the rain? It's so loud in my, well, anyway, as long as it does not disturb you, that's good. So yeah, let's just spend a couple minutes working on this exercise. So inhale through your mouth and trying to swallow it. And then do it again. Do it 30 times, maybe not as many times as you want. So um, I can tell you how I did it. So okay, my neck hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But I think it's very interesting because after a while, so I breathe through my mouth, and then swallow it, and then breathe out also through my mouth. I don't know whether that's how you did it. And then I again breathe through my mouth and swallow and breathe out through my mouth. So no nose involved in my case. And then looking to the right, after a while, it then gets quite painful. But then I try to concentrate on my chest. I realize by opening the chi goes through the mouth is it kind of goes straight down to the almost like to the stomach. It feels like it fills the stomach. After a while, I feel like I can feel more air in, so that's quite interesting. So more air can go in, and then when I breathe out, it feels like this hot air coming out through my mouth, and yeah, that's as much as I feel can say. Anybody else have got other kind of sensation or feeling? Michael, how did you feel? Michael, you may need to unmute yourself. Anybody, can say anything, just unmute yourself.
No. Well, I had a little bit of difficulty getting my head around actually swallowing my breath. It took me a few goes before I got it, you know, and I was a little bit sort of, well, when am I supposed to breathe out?
Well, yeah,
You know,
exactly.
a few times I was actually not even aware that I was actually breathing out somehow.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but like you, I got a stiff neck. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you swallow the chi, that is still part of the inhalation rate.
Yeah.
And then at some point you have to exhale. So exhale, it didn't say exhale, it just says swallow it 30 times. But no,
Yeah.
in this text, it's quite good at telling you to either spit out the chi, like tu chi. So then that will
Mm.
be like spitting out the chi. So that will be literally, I would say, use your mouth to spit out the chi. Um,
Mm.
but in this case, no, it doesn't say anything. So, or I think, yeah, you're right. At some point, you got to exhale, and
Mm.
then the emphasis obviously is about inhale through the mouth, inhale through the mouth, because it's again is unusual because most of the exercises in this text is inhale through your nose. So why
Mm.
inhale through your mouth? And some of these exercises about inhaling through the mouth is to do with like indigestions, like stomach problem with the stomach. But this one, again, is to do with the left ribs. I suppose it's kind of that sort of area, maybe. That's just my guessing. Um, and then the other thing is why look to the right? So does that mean if you got a pain on your right, then you look to the left?
Mm.
That's possible, isn't it?
Yeah.
So so yeah. And then another one is it says it benefits the eye, so opening the eye, kai mu. So this exercise somehow will help to clear your vision, to make your eyes bright. Um, Again, I think that's quite interesting. We really have to almost like deepen the exercise in order to draw the benefits. That's my feeling.
Mm.
Anybody else? Crystal, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I did also have some issues coordinating the whole breathing, mouth coordination with
Mm,
um the exhale. That I also found that a little bit interesting. It was I ended up using mine as more of a passive exhale. It wasn't the emphasis. And
mm,
I did exhale. Sometimes exhale came through the mouth, sometimes it wasn't.
no,
But it's interesting. But I think yeah, over time
it
it
doesn't
would
matter. Yeah,
yeah,
it doesn't matter how you did
yeah,
it, but as long as is the inhalation through the
yep.
mouth. and the emphasis is like then
Well,
you then somehow swallow it.
well, and I was also thinking if the exhale is there's no emphasis on the exhale, I'm wondering if there's actually a benefit to that in sort of creating, I don't want to say carbon dioxide retention, but if you're not focusing on the exhale and there is some carbon dioxide left behind, modern speaking, there is some language and literature behind creating that environment inside your chest. And I'm wondering if this is sort of a way of doing that. It was just a thought.
That's interesting because you might end up taking in a lot more air and then not getting out the air. The air is still kind of somehow in the body, and you're accumulating a lot of this carbon dioxide, which I don't think is a good idea though. Are you supposed to breathe?
I don't, but there is some sort of modern literature that speaks to the benefits of doing that intentionally. And it was just a thought that I had while trying to not strain my neck because it was also not very happy on that side. It was a moment of sort of a thought, worth maybe digging into in a different light, but not today.
Actually, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, Felix.
As far as I know, in early cultivation, internal cultivation styles, there is that idea that you really absorb more qi inside, and that will nourish your qi and your yang. So,
but through your mouth or just
both, and both is possible. I think normally it's more inhaling through the nose, but the idea that you take more qi in than you exhale is a common idea in that time.
Okay.
I think later on that was modified, and you could raise questions whether and again like as you probably know, in meditation, sometimes they advise also. So, for example, when you're drowsy, actually, it's good to take more air in to extend your inhalation because you get more active. And then when you're restless, actually, the opposite. You should make your exhalation more longer. But I think this idea is the idea that by inhaling qi, you strengthen the qi. This is a really old idea. I think later on that got modified at least in internal cultivation. But
Also, I think what's interesting about this particular Daoyin exercise is normally if you're going to just cultivate the qi, like what you said, Felix, then you just do that. But this one is like you have to look to the right.
Yeah.
Then that's obviously is intentional, and it's not all that comfortable to do it, especially if it asks you to do it 30 times. That means it's a long time of being in one position, and so eventually you're gonna feel the strain on your neck, and then so I think it is a very interesting combinations between having to look to the right and having to do this breathing, a very specific breathing through the mouth. Jesse, what do you think?
Sorry, I missed the beginning because I got a phone call, but I was doing the exercise for about the second half, and two things. One, from the personal experience side, like it was hard. Well, it made me belch, like swallowing all that air makes it come back up, right? Like, and so I think the intention is sort of twofold. One is by swallowing all that air, you're making like an air bolus in your stomach, and it's like almost like trying to expand the qi in the organ level. And I think that the reason why it's looking to the right goes back to this Qinglong Baihu dichotomy of the left and right. And so by looking to the right and breathing in, it's like we're strengthening the Baihu on the right to sort of push the stagnation on the left, like you're like trying to get a dent out by filling up from underneath it. So the stagnation's on the left, so you fill up this way and it helps push whatever the stagnation is, right? Because I think that the directions, they obviously talk about the directions specifically in this scroll, right? So I think that by filling the one side, it's like trying to push the chi stagnation away on the other side. And then so I assume that they thought that like you could fill one side or the other by looking, right?
Mm.
It doesn't say to do the same thing if it's on the right, but I sort of assume that you could infer that if you had pain on the right, you could look to the left and do the same thing.
Yeah,
But
I would think so because I mean the other exercises you can yeah, it does do it the pain on the left and then pain on the right ribs, isn't it? So the last the one beforehand before this exercise.
yeah,
So
yeah,
excellent, great.
Yeah.
I think this is something probably need to practice a bit more because obviously it's something we're not accustomed to. A lot of my breathing exercises I tend to teach is definitely through the nose. I tell people not to breathe through the mouth. So, but this is obviously very specific about something, maybe what Jesse was suggesting, pushing this sort of blocked on the left hand side by bringing more chi to the right, and then something like that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So let's try
No,
the next.
one
Yes.
thing I was going to say, just picking up on what Crystal said about retaining CO2,
Yeah.
that would create, in biomedical terms, that would create respiratory acidosis and lower the pH,
Okay.
which is seen as a bad thing.
That's right. That's right. That's why I thought that is definitely not good for people who has got like asthma or
Or
short breath.
bronchitis or anything like that.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
want them to
yeah,
make sure they breathe out properly.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then they are, as Crystal said, specific exercises, modern exercise that deliberately trying to retain the carbon dioxide in the
Yeah,
body
yeah.
to achieve certain. So yeah, I mean
No,
this
it's
is
just
some
I'm teaching first year students biochemistry, and all it seems to do is say what's wrong.
yeah, right. Yeah. But this is almost like slightly different. This is
Yes,
but then I mean it didn't tell us
significantly so.
the underlying sort of rationale. We're trying to guess, really. That's
Yeah.
we're just trying to work out why this does that. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Again, it's to do with the uh, curing the pain below the ribs. Okay, so again, it says raising your hands, link them on your neck. So the link, the word link here in the Chinese is a cross or like interlink, intercross or 交, yeah. Holding them together as much as possible. So this is as much as possible is this 自己. So that is itself, polarized or extreme, tension on to opposite directions. This will cure pain below the ribs. And then it kind of gives you a bit more what's going on. So it says then, sit on the ground and interlace your fingers loosely so that they are not held tightly, but should just hold together. This kind of slightly confusing, but never mind. So anyway, it tells us to sit on the ground. So this will be the Japanese sitting or whatever, you can also cross legs if you want to. Especially, I think in this case, it tells you, so for example, if you practice this for a long period of time, your body will be solid like a diamond. So this is the word 金刚 is the Vajra. So the Vajra like the diamond very hard. So your body become very solid. This definitely has got this kind of Buddhist connotation here. So the Jinggang, the Vajra. So it will regulate your breaths so that they become long, like wind and clouds, like thunder. Okay, so I think again this is this is about curing pain below the ribs, and first of all, you're gonna sit on the ground, okay? You can choose, or you can sit on the chair if you want to, but then, this text tells you to sit on the ground. Again, the Japanese style, the sort of kneeling down and sit on your heels, on your or you do it in the lotus position or half lotus, whatever. And then you're gonna raise your hands, raise your arms. You're gonna put them behind your neck. You can either interlace them or you're gonna hold them somehow. But then the later, it tells you that you interlace the fingers loosely so that they are not held tightly, but they should still be held together. So, okay, this is slightly contradict to the 自己, yeah, the as much as you can, hold them as much as. So I think the 自己, which I would now interpret it as like you're gonna interlace the fingers and then you're gonna almost like opening your arms further back as much as you can. So then like, and then you kind of trying to hold the fingers, grip, or you do it that like this as well, like the picture shows. I don't know. You can try it either. I'm gonna try it like this, perhaps. Okay, so yeah, you just do it like that, and then you're gonna make, okay, so while you're in this position, you're gonna make your breath very long. So again, it didn't tell you to breathe through nose, mouth. I don't think it's breathing through the mouth. So I think probably just breathe regularly through your mouth, through your nose. And then, so this exercise, again, doesn't tell you for how long, but it does says you do it on a regular basis if you practice it for a long period of time. So it's almost like you do it, every day, and then you just sit like that, holding your hands behind your neck, and then just focusing on your breathing, yeah? Focusing on breathing, as trying to make the breathing as long as possible. And then, so they become long like wind and cloud, like thunder. So I imagine, I don't think it's going to be like really, you're trying to make your breathing very loud, as in sound. I think it just means like powerful somehow. That's my interpretation. So we can have a go, spend a bit of time sitting down on the ground or wherever you feel comfortable, and then bring your hands behind the neck, hold it. So there is this 自己 extreme posture. So as much as you can, so you're trying to work out how you can do that, and then yeah, focusing on the breathing. Let's do that for a few minutes. Well, for me, it's surprisingly enjoyable. It's definitely easier to do for me than the first one. The first one, it requires, sort of twisting the neck, whereas this one is completely straight. And the hands, I put them behind my neck, almost like a pillow, using a pillow. So then and then after a while, it really feels quite comfortable to stay in that position. And yeah, I really like it. The breathing getting very, it's almost like a meditation, except you're not going to fall asleep because you are constantly aware of this expansion of the chest. The chest is getting somehow getting bigger because you're sort of pulling your arms to the opposite direction. So your whole body feels like going, opposite
Yeah.
direction as well. So it really feels great. How about you? Anybody? How do you find the exercise? Jesse?
I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
I felt like a lot of relaxation under the armpits. I tried doing like a tense grasp, and I tried doing the relaxed grasp,
Oh,
and and I felt like the relaxed grasp is probably where I'd want the practice to be, because I did feel like it really opened up like under the armpits, and it also like holding my hands behind my head, it strengthens the mid back erector muscles, right? Like you have to open up your spine this way to hold that position,
yeah.
which is where like a lot of the nerves that go into the liver and into the sides of the ribs come out. And so I think that like if you think about someone like sitting at a desk and typing all the time, like this would be a really nice
The
sort of
opposite.
anti-sitting exercise. And I think it's the way it's described, it almost sounds like we're supposed to use it as like a meditation posture, right? So like holding it for like 3 to 5 minutes or even longer, and just like breathing and just sort of like really meditating into that space. I
Yeah.
wonder if that second line, the ziqi, because it is contradictory to think of it as like, hold it to the extreme polarity, and then it says right after to have a very loose, barely connected grasp.
Not completely grip. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Mm.
do think that the interlacing fingers is probably correct, because I feel like this, where you have it in the diagram, is
Yeah.
like a little lopsided, whereas interlacing
Yeah.
fingers is just
That's
so
right.
comfortable. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why that feels like almost like a pillow. So the
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
again with mm,
But I think maybe the zichi is like if we don't think of polarity as extreme, but
mm,
like the G as like extreme, but more like polarity, like it just says like, to me that says like, let your elbows sort of like feel like they're stretching apart from each other gently, and
that's
then
right.
possibly also like, if you think about the taiji, like up down vertex, then maybe like, sort of relaxing your neck and letting your kidney low back sort of hang down and your neck sort of float up a little bit, so you
Mm.
get some lengthening of yourself up and down. The
Mm-hmm.
z
Mm-hmm.
possibly is self here, and so because I don't feel like they would. I don't think that it's like hold really tight and then relax. I
No,
think that
no,
we're
no.
misreading the term a little bit somehow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think it just somehow holding, yeah, so you interlace the finger not completely tightly like this, but enough so then they are linked. They are not, sort of separate.
Yeah, and then you just like create the polarity between your elbows and maybe
Yeah.
possibly even your neck and your lower back
Mm-hmm.
up and down and side to side,
Mm.
so
When
that
I'm
you're sort of elongated.
Yeah, and also when I'm doing it, I almost pushing the elbows back.
Mm.
Got that kind of going back. Is that how you do it, Pascal?
I I
Yeah.
felt like it just naturally relaxed
Actually,
after a while. It opened
right.
up. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
I had the opposite. I had to remember to force my elbows back. They wanted to keep coming forward.
going
Mm.
So it
forward.
was a very like active process, especially when they started to
Yeah.
get tired, they're like closing in. So
Okay.
yeah, it's interesting.
Yes, it feels really comfortable after when, and then focusing on the breathing, isn't it? So trying to make the breath long. So then it kind of enter into this kind of very meditative kind of state. But then all the time your whole sort of my chest area is like opening up.
Yeah.
And it just feels good. It's like increasingly feels really comfortable. The whole body has got this, space to breathe.
Yeah.
It's a
Well,
nice feeling.
I felt that opening the chest allowed the long breath.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So then it helps with that breathing,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas normally people meditate, you just put your hands in the front on your lap and then you just breathe. Whereas this is so different.
Yeah.
This is like, okay, opening your chest and then start doing the breathing exercise.
Mm.
That's really very different. And also, I feel quite hot. After a while, feels the whole body is very hot,
Mm.
almost like
Yeah.
sweating.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, I felt
Well,
hot, like
I
very
feel hot
hot,
too.
getting warm.
very warm, very hot, very
Mm.
quickly. And
Mm.
then, and again, that kind of a little bit of sweat makes you feel good. And then
Mm.
you relax further into the position. And because I'm kind of holding it, almost like because the head is quite heavy and you're supporting your head. It's quite nice, isn't it? Because imagine when you're meditating, you're holding your head is not supported and you're trying to sit upright and meditate. But this is like you support your head. You can support your head with your hands behind, and then because of this opening up, then it makes your chest open. So this is to me is actually the very good position for meditation if you think about it. Whereas
Yeah.
nobody's doing that, but
Mm.
this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it says if you practice it for a long time, the body is solid like diamond. I mean that's is if it's true, it's really incredible if you think about it. And also the breathing is it says like wind and cloud, like thunder. I mean, this text tends to be very down to earth. So for it to describe something like this, like solid like the diamond or wind and cloud, and I think it probably wants to tell you that this is that effective if you can do it for, if you keep practicing and practicing.
Mm.
So 九行, to do it for a long period of time, the body is going to be like, the Vajra body, the diamond.
Well, and that's like a meditation term, right? So,
Yeah,
like, I think that that's sort of putting more emphasis on this as like a meditation versus an exercise in a sense, right?
that's right.
Because
Mm.
the diamond body is like a state of pure mental clarity in a sense that
As
you
well.
achieve
Yeah,
through long periods of meditation. So
that's right. Yeah,
it's
but
a,
then
it's a
obviously,
different.
yeah, and in this case is if you can say it, they kind of medicalize the religious practice. So then it was maybe a meditation practice, and then it make it into a medical uh, exercise because then it says it cures certain illnesses. Yeah. So in this case,
Mm.
is the pain below the ribs. But
I
then
also
this,
don't I also don't think it's by accident that it happens to be kind of in an integral piece of the do channel. At the back of the head, where we're placing our hands, is a lot of spirit and brain aspects.
right.
And when I put my hands back, you're right, holding your head up is actually a lot more effort. And I found that I had to kind of tuck my hands a little bit behind, like on the edge of the bone. But it activated the do channel. Like I felt pull right down at the very bottom of my spine, not in a physical way, but like in an interesting energetic way. And it was able to sort of move with my breath. I was able to
Almost,
move sort of like
yeah. So
a
almost like
circulation was going on.
activating your do mind.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so sort of this conversation about meditation and maybe some sort of like medicalization of it, I don't think it's by accident that it's kind of a big aspect of where you put your hands, and that it overlaps a fair few
Yeah.
significant, spirit and mind combination points of the do channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
So
a fair point.
yeah, but it's interesting though, because it feels like, well, if it's so amazing, why does it only cure pains below the ribs? It feels like this is just good for overall fitness, overall good health, basically. But it doesn't. It's very specific. It's about pain below the ribs.
But
So
it
does
does
that
say
mean,
about the diamond body, which is like probably at this time, like with the influence of Buddhism, like people were spending a lot of time working towards a diamond body. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so I think that that is sort of like in the context of that, I think it might be like this is a great exercise to achieve this above average health state. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Hmm.
But at the same time, also specifically for pain below the ribs. So pain below the ribs, are we thinking like sort of the internal organs of like, I don't know, the liver, the stomachs, all those. Is that the pains, where the pains are? So yeah.
And I have a question because we have this dichotomy because Ziji and then after it's more song like. Do
Yeah.
you think, and from the text structure, would it be possible that after that it cures the ribs pain, it's another text that have been put?
Yeah, that's also possible because
That's also a possibility, no? Because it's a little
yeah.
different and they put them together because it's
Together.
the same.
Yeah, exactly. Because this one, if it does feels that when you so you hold them together and then this cures pain below the ribs. It kind of finish really.
Yeah.
So why does it carry on saying sit on the ground? It feels like this might be another exercise kind of thing. Yeah, I mean that's to do with textual. Because we were using a modern edition. So this is somehow, I mean, whether this particular combination already appear as early as the Northern Song edition.
Mhm.
I mean, I could go and have a look and see. I mean, there's also a Japanese version as well, which is much older. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely that is a question that
That-
whether did they actually together? Shouldn't they be two separate exercises? Um, but um, but because I think obviously there is some kind of rationale of the two together. Maybe it's to do with somehow you interlace the fingers and then you somehow grab it. So 当晚 you should somehow hold it. So it didn't say hold what, but then by reading the first line, then your hands is on your neck, and
Mhm.
therefore you are holding the back of your head. Um, so it kind of makes sense. But yeah, you're right. I mean, why one is, 相握自己, the other one is you interlink the hands, but you're not completely gripping them.
Mm.
不周遍, zhou is like complete.
Mhm.
Yeah. The whole thing, the whole entire thing. You're not doing that.
Yeah,
Um,
the idea is that you say that when they do this text, they put many different
version.
exercises together and then they try. So there is different currents and maybe because it's the
Yeah.
same. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's actually quite likely because as we know that these exercises were not invented by the compilers. They
Mm.
already got all the different texts. They just copy and paste them. So they said, again it says, again it says. They got it from somewhere else,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And
Yeah.
so then they probably think, that those are, they look similar, or there's another version which they think, oh yeah, there's also somebody in this version talks about breathing, the body is like strong as a diamond, and that definitely has the, yeah, it just feels like almost like a two different texts combined,
Mm.
isn't it? So, but we don't know. We're just
Yes,
guessing.
we don't know, but it just
We don't know.
Mm.
But I think even there is a slight sort of conflicts in terms
Mm.
of the instructions when we're actually doing the exercise. It does then it works.
Yeah, no, it's really
Yeah, it
nice.
definitely works well. So obviously you're not going to hold it too tight, but then
Mm.
you're gonna not to let them go. So they're going to be in a situation where they are sort of sitting comfortably behind your neck with your hands interlaced, and then with then this intention of spreading the arms, the elbows outwards more and more as time goes on, it will become more and more 自己. So it's this polarized tension take place. One is moving that direction, the other one's moving that direction. So yeah, it's kind of almost happening naturally. And so once we got that position, then just focusing on the breathing, isn't it? And that just, once you have that position, it feels very comfortable. The body's opening, the upper chest's opening, and the allowing the more air to breathe in and out. So yeah, it just feels really comfortable, and I really like it. So yeah, I think you guys also have got very similar, and also hot. Yeah, feel very hot.
Mm.
Is it possible, because we have the term ziran, which means like natural, right? Like, is
Mhm.
it possible that ziji could be like a
Now,
relaxed polarity versus the other, like G, I can't remember the name of
即是
G sure being like more like a stretched polarity,
yeah,
and
exactly.
ziji could be like a natural polarity, like relaxed polarity?
Yeah, exactly. So 字 as in itself, it would just do it without you having to force it. Yes,
Yeah,
the G is
yeah.
then obviously it will just it itself to that opposite polarity, the
Mhm.
the pull to the opposite directions. The 即势 is extreme poses. So then that kind of require well somebody needs to do it. Yeah. So if you're saying this 即势, then it's you, the person who's doing it, making it to make the pose as strong as you can.
Mm.
But the 自己, yes, you're right. It gonna that actual doing it, that particular thing is gonna be able to do it to its polarity. So yeah, so that's good. I think we are kind of get it, hopefully, quite close to the original intention.
Mm.
So. But yeah, I
Yeah.
really find this is a very lovely exercise. Almost if you want to meditate, then you can actually adopt this particular position rather than just sitting, is this is actually quite a comfortable position as well. And you're not going to be able to fall asleep because your hands is holding the neck. Right. Okay. So are we okay to move on to the next
Yeah.
section? So this is 消渴, the dispersion thirst disorder. Um, So let's have a look. So, okay, yeah, it's actually just one entry, one disease entry for this. So I think then the exercise will refer to anything to do with thirst, dispersion thirst, the 消渴. All right, so again, we're going to read, well, I'm going to read the disease entry. So those who have dispersion thirst are unable to relieve thirst and urinate frequently. This could be caused by an accumulation of pills and powders from the 5 stones taken over many years. So the 50, I don't really know what they are. I imagine they're some kind of minerals that people in those period that they take them. I don't know why they take them. Maybe they are some kind of medicinal benefits. Yeah, so
I know I've read a little bit about it in the Healing with Poisons book. So
yeah, right.
the five stone powders was it was like a sort of a health fad at one point.
Mhm.
Like it was sort of a little akin to like Wydan like elixir taking, but
Yeah,
it was sort of seen as like something for your health, but also it had a cost as well. Like I think it might have been had some sort of drug effect. I'm not sure. So basically, I would read that as like overuse of drugs,
overuse of the
right?
drugs. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's fallen out of fashion. Nobody uses this anymore. So I think that it did have a toxicity effect of some sort.
That's right. I think it has got quite a severe side effects if you're taking it for a long time. I think it probably makes you almost a bit like one of those kind of recreational drugs nowadays. Makes you
yeah,
quite,
Yeah.
yeah,
alert and, like energetic, and you don't need to sleep for ages, and then suddenly you sort of crash. So this, I think, has got that, but then the side effects is, yeah, there is obviously bad for the body because
yeah,
says this accumulation of the stones, which is, yeah, sounds really painful to me. So the effect of the stones concentrated in the kidneys is to cause deficient heat in the lower burner. So again, it's interesting because I think one of the symptoms of people taking these kind of five stones or this kind of some kind of powder is you feel really cold. You feel really cold, even in like hot heat, you still feel really cold. And then when the person is old and decrepit, their blood and qi diminished, and they are no longer able to control the effect of the stones. Yeah, okay. Well, it sounds as if like everybody's taking it. I don't know. Maybe that's what they did in those days. When the effect of the stones is intensified, the kidneys become dry, so that despite drinking water, there will be no urine. This kind of disorder can undergo many changes and eventually develop into an abscess or an ulcer. This is caused by hot qi remaining in the channels or the network vessels and not leaving, so that the blood and qi become congested and obstructed, developing into an abscess with pus. So it's something internal that's just going to sort of the body become ulcerated. And also with those stones, they're not obviously not getting rid of. But that's quite an interesting, it feels like a very specific cause, which almost like does not apply to modern people. So I don't know. So because this is only about people who takes five stones,
yeah.
kind of mineral thing. But then I think later on, when we're reading the sort of the Daoyin descriptions, I think it gives you like whole sections about what not to eat. So there is about sort of dietary regulation. So it's not just specifically about taking five stones, taking those kind of type of drugs. Um, so yeah, okay. Okay, next page. If when
Mm,
diagnosing the pulse, it is frequent and big, the patient will live. If it is thin, small, and floating, the patient will die. Also, if it is sinking and small, the patient will live. If it's solid, firm, and big, the patient will die. Okay, well, it's all very sort of black and white, so I don't know. So okay, so next, what is the illness which causes a sweet taste in the mouth called, and how does one get it? Okay, well, this is a different causes now. It is due to the overflowing of the five qi and is called pure heat of the spleen. The five tastes enter the mouth and are stored in the stomach. The spleen makes the essential qi move. If they are overflowing in the spleen, this will cause a sweet taste in the mouth. It happens when the diet, or in square bracket, that means I added it, is too rich and fatty. The person must have had a lot of sweet, rich, and fatty food. as a result of having, the sweet taste in the mouth. The fat causes inner heat, while the sweetness causes fullness in the body. Hence, the qi rises and overflows and then turns into this illness, which is called dispersion thirst. So if this is the case, which sounds more what we were familiar, yeah, so there's almost like a proto-diabetic kind of descriptions.
Yeah.
What's that to do with the 5 stones then in the first? Well, I don't know. I mean, the 5 stones obviously is also classified as dispersion thirst because that for some reason the stones in the body makes the kidney very dry, so it doesn't matter how much water you drink, you're still not going to feel you're very thirsty, but you don't produce urine.
So
Oh.
I think that they're describing two separate etiologies. I don't think they're like linked necessarily.
No,
So
right.
it's like
No, I don't
if
think
you
they
if
are
you
either.
if you eat too much sweet food and fatty food, then you get this overflowing. But you could also achieve it by sort of desiccating internally by overuse of drugs,
Yeah,
right? And so you could get this, you sort of dry out this internal space and then you overflow much easier.
yeah.
But it's from deficiency, not just pure excess. Does that make sense?
It does.
So
So yeah, so it's 2 completely different causes, but then they are all calling them dispersion thirst.
the syndrome ends up being the same, but it can come from different ideologies.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And is the second one that we're more sort of familiar with, or so that we can relate to, isn't it?
Yeah.
The first one is people will think, how does that? Yeah, because
Well, I
well,
think you could maybe
Oh,
see it with like modern, like, excessive use of
drugs.
methamphetamines or something like that.
Mm.
Like you'd have the same sort of hyperactivity and hunger and thirst and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very different conditions and they would
Mhm.
manifest differently, but you might possibly you could apply the exercises to both
Both. Yeah.
excess and
Right.
deficient
Yeah.
cases, or maybe it'll go into more detail throughout
Yeah.
the
Sure.
chapter.
Yeah, so it's interesting because from the modern perspective, we will say these are 2 completely different illnesses. But yeah, okay, great. So the disease of reverting yin, 绝阴, manifests in severe dispersion thirst, pain in the heart, hunger without appetite. So you're hungry, but you don't feel like eating. And if serious, as desired, then you feel, if it's very serious, then you feel like you need to vomit. The orthodox prescription for decoctions, hot pack, needles, and stones is given elsewhere. The Yangshen supplementation and Daoyin instructions are now attached below. So this sort of formulaic sentence tell us that whatever comes after is to do with the Yangshen and Daoyin instructions. And so that also marks the end of the description of the disease entry. Okay, so let's start reading this the Yangshen recipe. So the Yangshen recipe is not Daoyin exercises, so it's more about sort of lifestyle, telling you things that you need to be aware of in your daily life. So the Yangshen recipe says, do not open your mouth when lying down to sleep. If you do this for a long period of time, you will develop dispersion thirst and lose the color of your blood. So I think it's interesting that in 7th century China, they know that you mustn't open your mouth when you sleep. I think it's great, isn't it? Because nowadays we have all this kind of people trying so many methods of trying not to breathe through their mouth because they snore or they developed sleep apnea. Is so yeah, it tells you not to open your mouth, you see. It's really good. But then it says that if you do that, then it develop this kind of dispersion thirst and lose the color of your blood. That's a little bit abstract for me, so that I'm not sure of. So that's the instructions from the Yangshen recipes. Then we can look at the Daoyin instructions now. So that's on the page 189. And this one is a quotations from another text, and it says, Master Rapine says, lie down, close your eyes, and hold your breath 12 times. This cures indigestion of food and drink. Okay. So close your mouth. So you lie down, close your eyes, and 不息, so not breathe, and 12 tong is almost like 12 circulation. So you imagine this qi in your body is like doing like once, and then while you're holding it, holding your breath, and then you do it again and again and again, each time visualizing this qi in your body circulating. Well, that's my interpretation anyway. So basically you just close your eyes and hold your breath, and you do that 12 times. How long do you hold your breath? As long as you feel comfortable. And then it says it cures indigestion. Another one of very similar exercise is also like, you lie on your side, and then you hold your breath, and then that will cure headache. So I think holding your breath definitely cures various things, but in this case, it's indigestion. So let's see if it, if you feel that way. Should we give ourselves a few minutes, like lying down? This should be a quite relaxing, I hope, relaxing exercise, but you need to hold your breath. Well, definitely very pleasant exercise.
Yes.
I wouldn't mind doing it for a very long time. And yeah, it's holding the breath is always very interesting to me. I mean, do you hold the breath after you inhale? So you inhale, hold the breath,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Yes.
exhale, yeah? Okay. And I also trying to do it slightly differently, like exhale and hold the breath.
Mm.
But that didn't seem to work well for me. But then, some people can say there may be other, maybe benefit of doing it that way. But yeah, I do intuitively tend to inhale, hold the breath as long as I feel comfortable, and then exhale. It feels with the inhalation, hold the breath, you create this kind of space in your body.
Mm-hmm.
So then if there's any indigestion, they got a bit of room to move around. So I don't know whether that's just my imagination, but it does feel that, creating this kind of space, holding the breath, then you can sort of move around using your intention with, anything that is kind of needs to break down even more. Um, yeah, I mean, and then after a while, again, my hands feels a bit warm, so it's sort of slight sweating. Um, and I do trying to concentrate on this sort of problem with indigestion. So yeah, I think it probably would have that benefit. Although I mean, I obviously haven't got the problem with indigestion, so I don't know. Anybody else? So, Pascal, how do you like the exercise?
Yeah, it was nice. I also do like you. I just inhale and then create. I also have this idea of creating space, and it's more comfortable for me that when I inhale to not breathe. That's contrary.
Breath. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's. But
Yeah.
yeah, very pleasant. Yeah.
Yes. Do you feel hot?
This one not so
Not so
much.
much.
No.
Okay, so after a while, it's just you just feel the space in your body. That's
Yes.
sort of because of
Much more.
because of the breath. It's trying
Yeah.
to Okay, great. Anybody? Just want to see if there's anybody else that I missed. So there's okay. So yeah, if you want to talk, just unmute yourself and you're welcome to say anything with your experience or any questions. That's it. Felix.
Just a remark, Dolly, but that's also what I think. I think also this kind of exercise, I think they inserted, so I can imagine why it would be good for your digestion, but definitely it's also it looks like a meditation, isn't it? Also.
Yeah, close your eyes, isn't it? Lie down, close your eyes, but then you hold your breath. Meditation tends to be not holding the breath. Tend to just
Well, that depends also.
Depend on what kind of meditation you're doing.
And there's so many different ones.
Oh, right, okay.
And that pulling the chi, because you really draw the chi to certain areas, isn't it?
Yeah. So Felix, what do you think why by holding the breath you're gonna be able to this exercise claims to be able to cure indigestion? What's the connection?
I'm not so sure about it, whether it will.
Because of Pascal and I kind of imagine it being inhale and hold the breath. So then you inhale, you bring the chi into your body, you create the space, almost like a balloon, yeah? You make it bigger. And so whatever that is there that got stuck would then by now have a bit more room to move around, to do whatever. And then so they are not all sort of squashed together. And so then if you keep doing that, then exhale and inhale, create the space, and then
I think you create more movement, so I think you enable the digestive system. But then again, I think coming back to the other exercise where we also had to, I think sometimes the holding the breath, you have to be careful. I think when you instruct it to patients, you have to be really careful because it can create issues. But I think that's the ratio behind it, that you hold your breath and then also because when I read the exercise, properly, it's really also pulling the chi up, isn't it?
Oh no, that's late. I think that's later. That's later. So this is just a very simple.
This is the simple one. Yeah, that's the next one. Actually, this is
the next one. The next one looks.
The next one looks much more. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but sure, you will.
Yeah, this one is straightforward. Just hold your breath.
Well, it stays also, actually, yeah, it's. I think the idea is that you move your digestive system. So
what do you mean when you said if you're going to instruct somebody to do this exercise for not like holding your breath, then we need to be careful? Is that because certain conditions that this is not good?
Yeah, I think holding breath has definitely issues because it can create tension in the body. So overall, I think this is also interesting because, okay, I can't judge about everything, but as far as I know, in the older exercise, you have a lot of these exercises where you really hold the breath. When I see, like in Nijdan, for example, that's really that's the opposite. They're really against that. Actually.
Oh, really? They're against holding the breath?
Oh, yeah. They're against it. Some Juan says, "Oh, this is very dangerous. You shouldn't do that." And
really?
They're very explicit. Yeah, but then they are very against.
I'm confused.
Actually, read Zhang Juan, and they're really against Daoyin. But then I think because there are many reasons, we could have a long talk about that. But I think the reason is that people did it too much, maybe.
Almost a bit overly. So if you hold your breath,
and they realize, of course, that there are issues with it. And then, of course, in the Nijdan idea is that everything should happen spontaneously. So you just enter a very deep state of meditation, and then stuff happens by itself. No. But then there is this dichotomy because ultimately, I think Daoyin is very useful. So, but I think these people. They emphasize that aspect, and then they warned against. But it's interesting because later on you see more people careful about, also in the medical context, in terms of holding your breath. But then there are many different opinions, and they are today still there.
Sure. I think it is interesting because from what I learned about, so for example, embryonic breathing.
Embryonic breathing, yeah.
Yeah, so that is about not breathing, but then you have to, it's a long practice of being able to breathe very, very slowly and, gradually. And so then your breath is like very, very thin. And so you inhale and exhale like so long and thin, eventually it's almost like cease to exist, but it's still there.
Yeah, you still, ultimately, because I know I do embryonic breath and true, it's on, even if, because there are many levels, but even if you're at the highest level, you still breathe.
You still breathe, okay.
You always will breathe because you can't. But it's very subtle, and it's more, maybe you forget about the breath, and you forget about yourself. That's our one in a way, it's sitting and forgetting also in a way. Like we read in
this is a whole level of a new dimension of into almost like a spiritual practice, isn't it?
Oh, it is a spiritual practice.
So forgetting the self. If you're not breathing, eventually you get to the point that yes.
Yeah, first you forget your breath, and then you forget your body, and then you forget yourself.
You're lacking oxygen, and then eventually you pass out.
No, actually, no, it's not that, because actually ultimately there is oxygen, but it gets very, very subtle. And the idea, of course, and that also, again, you see it in Buddhism, in Taoism. I don't know. These ideas might have been introduced from Buddhism. We don't know. But the idea,
exactly. I mean, they also do that in Hatha Yoga, isn't it? A lot of these kind of breathing.
Yeah, also in Hatha Yoga, Hatha Yoga, of course. But again, that's different, I would say. But the idea is that the more subtle. So there's this idea that the breath is the horse, and so the mind actually it carries the mind in a way. So the more subtle and soft your breath is, the more calm the mind. So that's, I think, one of the goals also of embryonic
more
breath.
Calm of the mind.
Yeah, it calms the mind. Okay. So when the breath is more calm and more subtle, your mind also gets more quiet.
Yeah, sure. Okay. All right. Well, then that's still not what we're trying to do here, because here is definitely is not breathing, so we are holding the breath. So
yeah, here's holding the breath, and here I think really it's I would agree with your initial idea that you create space and then you move, something starts to move. That's the idea.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, that's very, very interesting. Thank you
and
so
it's
much.
interesting to come back on the idea of the minerals, because I think there is an overlap. So these minerals, of course, are very hard to digest, but they still actually, like in Tibetan medicine, they still use a lot of these minerals. And I know from practice, that's one of the reasons why I would be careful. I sometimes prescribe Tibetan medicine also, but in general, I work with Chinese herbal medicine. But there is this issue with digestion, actually, because that stuff is really difficult to digest, and that can give a lot of problems.
Digesting what?
Minerals.
Minerals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you want to do that?
Well, in Tibetan medicine, because they have also healing capacities. So minerals can be used in medicine. Still in Chinese medicine also, some minerals are still used. Not the five, not
the five stones.
No, not the 5 stones. That's
but other type of
other minerals are still, and they can, and that's also why in Chinese formulas you always have to add other herbs to make it digestible. But there can be problems, and I think also the same with overeating or the wrong food, or very dampy food that could have very similar effects to the body. Like, well, I never took the 5 stones, so I don't know. But I can imagine that's hard to digest.
That's right. So causing, so the blockage, isn't it? Because if the body can't digest it, it kind of have to put it somewhere. End up getting.
No, because we're not allowed to use minerals in the UK.
Yeah, I know. In the UK you can't, but in Holland you can.
Oh, right, okay. But I do know that minerals being heavy bring the qi down, don't they?
Yeah, that's true. True.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
But of course, as you say, they're indigestible. Be interesting to know what the 5 stones are, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, there is I think Jesse just mentioned the book that's from Yu. It's Healing with Poisons, and he describes that 5 that 5. It's a well-known research. I don't know out of my head.
I think there might be an entry in Zhubing yuanhou telling you what the 5 stones are.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I find it, I will try and put it on our Facebook page.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
On the Sun Miao, he said is fluorine, quartz, red argile. This one.
Yeah, that's possible.
Stalactite and sulfur.
Yes, right.
But I think it's not always the same stones. Sometimes it's
different combinations.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's different. Yeah.
Does anyone have a good stalactite dealer? You can probably get away with using it once or twice, as long as we don't use it every day for years. We'll go to the gem show.
Right. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. I'm hoping that we'll be able to finish this. There's a lot of descriptions, but it's also quite interesting. It's almost like somebody did almost like a commentaries, and the commentaries is sort of almost part of the instructions then. Okay, the method says, we don't really know what that text is, fa yun, fa. We don't know which one. Okay, so the method says, loosening your clothes, lie down quietly, gently, or dan wo. Lengthen your lumbers, okay, so your lumbar region. So you're lying down at this point. You're trying to lengthen your body. And then you fill the lower abdomen. I think fill the lower abdomen with qi. Yeah, because, it didn't say that, but I think you fill your lower abdomen so that it's bloated, so that it is sort of expand, if you like. And then take 5 breaths and stop. So yeah, okay, so it's kind of you breathe in, fill the lower abdomen, and then you breathe out. So you do that 5 times. This pulls the kidney qi, gets rid of dispersion thirst, and benefits yin and yang. Okay. Loosen your clothes. So here you see, loosen your clothes so that there will be no obstructions. So then this starts to be almost like a commentary part.
Yeah.
If you can read Chinese, you say 解衣者. So the 者 is like, so 解衣. From this first line, you got the 解衣, so loosen your clothes, means something. So means that there will be no obstruction. And then it says lie down. So the 淡卧, lie down quietly, means you don't, so there will be no external thoughts and the qi can move freely. So the 淡卧 is more, it's not about the way you lie down, it's more about, you lie down and almost like prepare your mind so then you're not, all over the place, thinking all over the place. You're kind of trying to concentrate on just lying down and prepare yourself. Okay, so and the chi can move freely. So lengthen your lumbar. So again, this is the shen yao zhe. So again, it's trying to explain what shen yao. So it's the lengthening the yao, the lumbar region, so that there will be no pressure in the kidneys. Shi shen wu bi. So yeah, so you're lengthening that so they again create space for the kidneys. And then the next explanation is this 颠者. So the 颠 is fill up your lower abdomen, or my earlier translation is to make it bloated, to make it expand really. And so, and exert your strength. So that means, so this 颠者 means you exert your strength so that the qi fills the lower abdomen. And then then you hold in your lower abdomen. Somehow you kind of have to almost like tighten your lower and pull the qi up, which is quite interesting. And then you do this with your breathing. So it starts to get a little bit complicated with this particular sort of commentaries or explanation. And then pulling the kidneys is to pull water or fluid to the throat. Again, I don't feel like it's literally doing it. It's more this kind of action of this tightening of the lower abdomen, where you then pull the qi up somehow with your breathing. Somehow you then pull these kidneys to meaning to pull the fluid up towards the throat. It moistens your upper part and gets rid of the diseases of dispersion thirst and withering, thirst and withering. Okay. And it benefits yin and yang, enriches qi, and increases one's strength. It supplements deficiency. So it kind of goes on and on and on. So this is like, I mean, the initial exercise is basically the first line, if you like, and all the others is kind of trying to explain further and further and further, more in greater details. And then it move on to something else. For example, it says, however, there are times which are best avoided. So you don't do this exercise immediately after a meal or when you're really hungry. You practice this at both of these, practicing Daoyin at both of these times damages the person. Right? So it could means in general, you don't do that rather than just this specific exercise. So in general, when you do Daoyin, you don't do it when you're when is that? Immediately after meal or when you're very hungry. So that makes sense, isn't it? So it could be just in general, you don't. You should also avoid days when the weather is bad, as well as period of seasonal disharmony. Again, very general, I think not specifically to this exercise, but more as when is the best time to practice Daoyin. After you finish Daoyin, first walk 120 steps or as many as 1,000, then take food. Oh, so, okay, so you do exercise first. You do the Daoyin exercise, and then you go for a walk, and then you come back and you
eat.
to eat, yeah. And then Okay, so have it neither too cold or not too hot. So okay. But blend and mixed the 5 flavors. So this is kind of more referring to the, the dispersion thirst, yeah, the one that you kind of overflowing the 5 chi, the flavors, and so you must not eat rotten, smelly, stale food, those leftovers which have been eaten by insects or scorpions. I mean, where do they live? Okay.
China.
All right, so have a smaller amount in your mouth, chew it many times, and swallow it slowly. I thought that's quite nice, isn't it? Because it's again applied to modern eating as well. It's eating smaller amount and chew it thoroughly and then swallow it slowly. So do not go to bed after meal. Do not go to sleep after meal. Again, yeah, that's pretty good. This is called medicine of the grains. So then grains obviously relates to, basically food in general. So that means, the way you eat, if you eat well, not necessarily what type of food, but the way you eat it, like, smaller amount and swallow it slowly and things like that. So that's called the medicine of the grains because then you are helping your body to digest really well, yeah? So then you absorb the nutrients. So when in harmony with qi, it truly is a fine medicine. So yeah, so there's interesting instructions there, all about sort of food. But then well, let's go back to the beginning, which is you lie down, which I like. And then you're gonna lengthen your lumbar region. You're gonna take 5 breaths and then that's it. So, but the 5 breaths that you're taking, according to the commentary, it didn't say right in the beginning, because right in the beginning, it just means you make your lower abdomen sort of expand your lower abdomen when you take the breath, yeah? So that's all you're trying to achieve. You're trying to almost like expand your lower abdomen when you breathe. So that's for us is not, is okay. That's just abdominal breathing, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you do that 5 times. So okay, that's very doable. But then it kind of saying like something about you use your effort to then tighten this. Where does it says? I mean, you exert strength so that the chi fill your lower abdomen, and then somehow you hold in your lower abdomen and pull the chi up. So while the chi is in your lower abdomen is expanding it, expanding your lower abdomen, you somehow pull this chi up and you do that with your breathing. I'm not sure how you do it, yeah? But anyway, so you pull it up and you pull the kidneys. Pulling the kidneys is to pour water to the throat. Is this that I start to feel a little bit abstract? Because I don't think that is literally you're doing it. But you are trying to bring the chi up, that I know. Somehow you are also almost like pull this liquid to the throat. Would that be possible? I don't know. I mean, it's the intention is to moisten your upper part. To and then therefore it suggests that your body gets so dry. That is that's the nature of this illness, the dispersion thirst and withering. So the only thing that I'm not so sure about is this commentary which telling you to pulling the kidneys, meaning to pull the water to the throat. So I don't know. You can practice it and so the one that 饮胜者, if you can read Chinese, is the fourth line in the middle. 饮胜者, so the pulling the kidney means pulling the water 来 to arrive or to come to the throat. And then that will moisten the upper part, 润上部, to get rid of 消渴 and withering illness. So is this part that I'm not sure, because that's yeah, is should we try? So basically your
Can I
line.
just ask one question before we try?
Sure.
So
Okay.
what character does sorry, where it says, yeah, fill up your lower abdomen and exert your strength so it fills the lower abdomen, then hold in your lower abdomen and pull the chi up. What character is the hold? Because like I'm
Yeah,
thinking you expand your belly and then maybe you pull your belly in towards your spine, like you sort of hold it.
yeah, sure. Okay, so if you look at the third line down towards the right, so you got
Mhm.
the comma and then you got 4 characters, yeah?
Yeah,
The first one is ji, is like then.
yeah.
Okay, she is the one that in my translation is I say hold. She is
Okay.
I don't really know how you interpret that word. She, the fu is lower abdomen. Qian is to pull. Qian is like holding the hand. 牵手, yeah, 牵. And then 牵, and then if we read the fourth line on the left hand side is the pull the chi, and then 使上 to make it up, to make it go up. So therefore, it's something like to read before the comma is like big effort to make the chi fill the small lower abdomen. This whole thing is therefore shi, as in I translate hold the abdomen and pull, 牵, pull the chi to make it go up. And you do that with the breathing. So breathe the and to do it. Yeah, it's 习己为
So
止. You do it while you're breathing.
so I mean, I apologize, I'm just using Pleco, but they have the definition as absorb or assimilate for sh.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, assimilate. So this. Okay. So that is definitely a verb. Yeah. Is the
Yeah.
verb going to trying to describe this? The abdomen or the lower abdomen. So the 射腹, because 牵 is a verb, 气
Mm.
is the chi. So you're pulling the chi. So the first two then is 射腹. So you're doing something to the abdomen. So
So I think that it might be possible that it is sort of like you breathe in and then you sort of let me see if I can show you, like you breathe in and then like pulling it in
yeah.
like with effort,
Okay.
and then that will, like when I
That will
pull in,
create.
I feel my kidneys, there's chi going up, so you're squeezing in and maybe that's the kidney chi then comes up along the spine to the throat.
So
Do you know
so
what I mean?
yeah.
So
So the 射 is almost a little bit like pull. The 射腹牵气. The 射 is what you just described is almost like you tighten your lower abdomen a bit. It's tight in, isn't it?
yeah, so it's sort of describing like lying down so you can comfortably, and then you expand all the way, and then you pull all the way, and as you pull in, the chi goes up to the throat. You visualize the chi and the fluids getting sort of squeezed up like you're squeezing a tube of toothpaste, and then it pushes things up to the throat to nourish the upper body.
Yeah, I think that's the idea. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
Yeah.
so the 射 is it is a verb, is an action of how
Hmm.
you do to the lower abdomen. So yeah, so I would say then you hold it in, you tighten it, and then you pull the chi up. So yeah, you do that with almost like intention. You can physically feel that the lower abdomen is tight in, and then you can then feel this chi come out, and as you said, that like almost squeezing the toothpaste, like squeeze, bring everything upwards. So should we have a go? I mean, I think it's very intriguing.
Hmm.
And but you only do it with 5 breaths, so it's not like you have to do it a long time, but whether we can achieve to bring the chi upwards towards the throat, that's another question. Here we go.
Sorry about the dog alarm
Thank you,
there. I
thank
had someone
you.
knock at the door. So I felt like, all the recommendations to like be fully relaxed were necessary because it's easy like to tighten up other parts of my body when I was doing that.
Yes.
So like I had to remind myself, okay, relax my neck, relax my chest, and just focus on the belly moving up and down.
It's interesting that it tells you to loosen your clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
there shouldn't be any restrictions at all to
mhm.
begin with. And then you're gonna tighten. I actually found it's almost like quite painful when I sort of trying to squeeze the lower abdomen and then almost like bringing everything upwards. It's it's sort of use up a part of the muscles that I don't really normally use. So it feels a bit strange and feels almost a bit achy. Um, so I can immediately I thought, oh yes, you definitely don't want to do it when you already had some food because
Mm.
otherwise you're gonna feel really uncomfortable. Yeah, because
Yeah.
so encourage it to go up. Well, that's crazy, yeah, because you want food to go down rather than come up. So it's definitely you don't do it after you have a big meal. And also it tells you don't do it if you're very hungry or something. Is that right? Um, but yeah, it feels as if by doing it, I'm kind of massage my stomach, which I can feel that there will be benefit of doing that. Almost like trying to work on my directly influence my internal organs, by sort of shifting the positions of the organs a little bit, isn't it? By sort of squeeze them up, squeeze the lower abdomen and push things up and sort of yeah, changing the positions a little bit and somehow feels as if I was able to sort of massaging them. But for me, it did feel some pain. I don't know about other people. What's your experience, Crystal?
Well, the first time, I think I completely underestimated what we were going to do, and I tried taking those suggestions, and I did. I pressed sort of down, like pushing up, and I was like, oh, if there was food in my belly, I would have gotten rid of it because that was really forceful. Like I was surprised at how quickly I was like, oh, okay, let's be more gentle with it this time.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I did approach it more gently, but I agree that it doesn't feel super relaxing because there is so much activity that's happening between the lower abdomen and your throat, and my mouth has a lot of moisture in it now.
All right. Moisture. So
Yeah, so does
you
mine.
managed to bring things up.
Yeah, they won't stop.
Wow. So this exercise actually worked really well for you then. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't kind of foresee that it's going to be literally fluid coming out up to.
Didn't think so either, but I also, recall from other parts of the text that when you activate the kidneys to engage saliva production, so it does make sense that it is possible, but I'm still alarmed by the outcome. I'm still
Yeah.
surprised.
Because when you first did it, you almost like did it quite forcefully. So it just all sort of going up. Okay.
Don't do that.
Anybody else has got similar or different
Yeah,
experience? Yeah.
I also had this fluid coming up, but I was trying to match the inhale.
All right, bye,
Inhale.
Jessie.
Bye, Jessie. I trying to match the inhale and exhale, and I try different combination. So
All right.
to do the abdominal.
Yes, because
and then
I did
exhale.
it. Mm.
But I didn't find, I think it feels more comfortable to inhale and have this upward movement
Yeah.
and exhale with having the abdominal tension.
Yes.
But yes, I've tried different way, but I think the mastering was quite, was also quite.
So you inhale and then tighten the lower abdomen.
No, finally I exhale while tightening
Exhale
the
and then tighten
abdomen
the
and then inhale,
Yeah.
then taking up. But
Well, that's interesting because that would be that would be almost like a different exercise because I didn't do it that way. So
okay.
that's interesting. I will definitely try it. How did you do it, Crystal? Did you inhale? What's your sequence?
I think it took a little while to coordinate as well, but what I ended up, I think, doing most often was a long inhale, filled up the lower abdomen, like all the way to the very bottom. And then I held my breath and kind of pushed everything up and then exhaled.
So,
Okay.
yeah. Whereas Pascal is inhale and then did you then pull this chi whilst exhaling, isn't it?
No, I've tried the two, but it feels more comfortable for me to exhale while
Exhale while pulling the chi up.
inhale while pulling the chi up.
But hold on, you inhale first, yeah?
Yeah, so that was my question. After I was thinking, but
when do you exhale?
yeah, after
Yeah.
so that was, I'm not sure about how it's the best way, but after I tried also like Crystal to do it one in the inhale
Yeah.
to feel it differently, but I don't know, how did you, yeah.
I'm trying to copy what you did because I did it similar to what Crystal do, is inhale, create the space, and then sort of tighten it in the lower abdomen, and then sort of squeeze like a toothpaste from the bottom, bring it up. And then I don't do it. I do it almost like almost like holding the breath. And then
because it was my question, you would hold your breath then, isn't it?
yeah, you're kind of holding your breath because you're tightening your lower abdomen.
Yeah.
Can't breathe when you're tightening.
Because
So
that's also how I read the text, So you inhale and then you hold it and then you push it up.
push it up.
Yeah,
Push
I
it up
think.
while holding. But it's because it's a little similar like a reverse breath, but then you would inhale and then you would push it up during inhalation. But this looks to me a little bit different again. But I had a question too, so I was.
I mean, I think it is possible to exhale when you're trying to visualize this, not visualize, trying to bring this fluid upwards, isn't it? You could do it while you're doing the exhaling.
Yeah, but then I think because there is, I know these are also these exercises where you really push the chi up. Why? And that they call it reverse, but that's
reversal.
And it seems a little bit like that. But here actually it goes in two stages. So you really first you inhale, then you hold it, and then somehow you push it up while holding the breath. That's how I.
Yeah, because you're tightening the lower abdomen, and it's hard to breathe when you're doing that.
And again, I think also my experience with this kind of, so for some people that's pretty okay to do if you're health okay, but again, this also might be because if there's counterflow or that kind of stuff, it might aggravate.
Again, yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. And I think it is, you definitely have to do it with care, because when I was doing it, I could really feel the pain around my stomach. So I know that because it's just the kind of muscles that I'm not normally use. So it feels quite achy. But then it also feels good. Feels like, oh, wow, this is somehow I managed to sort of influence the particular sort of part of the muscles inside that I was able to move it around, pushing it, squeezing it. And so, yeah, it does feel good. But yeah, I can imagine you've got to be very careful if this is going to be an instructions. Certainly, if people like already have foods in their stomach, tighten it, tighten the abdomen, and then trying to squeeze something, they're going to feel really uncomfortable. So yeah, so this is a kind of exercise, then I think is great to do it as long as you know what you're doing.
Yeah. And also it's interesting because you have also these exercises where you generate
the saliva because the kidney,
and then it goes down. So this is the opposite way. It's
this is opposite.
You bring the liquidity of the kidneys all the way up.
This is not the the Sui.
Oh, it's very different.
The spring bubbles, whatever, the spring water. So yeah, this is wonderful. This is quite interesting, quite a opposite, as you said. Yeah. Right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. This is really, really amazing. I'm just so excited that we we have work on some exercises, and they're all very, very interesting. I mean, there's kind of little things, that familiar but also not familiar, doing it in a slightly different way from what we were sort of would imagine or knew about before. So yeah, this is all, to me, is very enlightening, very sort of, just very refreshing, really. So, Ray, thank you. That's great. Excellent. So, all right. So we're finished now, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.